냠지 진보도도 유미종 요는 진보가 자다 다그러 다른 전도 실문도 스톰마도 제잔라기 숑잘.
To liberate sentient beings, please generate the supreme bodhicitta before we start today's teaching.
Today should be the 9th chapter. It's also about conferring predictions to those who are still learning and those who have completed their learning. During class, whether you are a new Buddhist or not, it is best to set your phone to silent mode. This simple action helps to prevent any disturbances and shows respect for others who are participating in the session. Also, my classes, generally speaking, last about an hour, which is pretty standard, a little over an hour, but never for more than an hour and 15 minutes in total duration. During this time, please try to remain seated as much as possible if you can, and avoid walking around. Unless something special happens to all of us, it seems like we used to have some signs in front of us that day, but now those are gone too. Oh, there are a few remaining, right? First, I will recite the transmission, which takes about 10 minutes, because reciting the transmission is very important. Transmission, whether it's for transmitting precepts or for practicing any dharma, it's best to have a transmission, So for the content that I teach every single day, I first recite it in Tibetan for everyone to hear it first, but it seems that the Tibetan version has more words in total here. Just reciting it in Tibetan takes about 10 minutes. And I don't recite particularly slowly, as you can probably tell by yourself. If I recite it in Chinese in transmission, maybe it won't take 10 minutes every day. I'm not sure, really.
Dene di ce dang ce dang ba gang ga won de nyam de da zhe jiang long long dan ba de da wer to bra xia gu nyam de sem de de nyam de sam jiang ji si number sam de mun ne dan le lang de zhong den de ji xiao la de so ce dang ba zha chen zhen ji jiang de nyam de sam de ji si number sam jiang mun ne zhong den de ji xiao la de cing de da sur do zhong den de da zhe la yang ge wa ye wer sur lo de wer sha ba da zhe la yang ge wa ye wer sur lo zhong den de da zhe pa da ma da jia da jian na ne ba da pong dan zhong den de da zhe jiang zhong den de ji zhe zhong den de ji xiao la zhang de zhong den de ji chu ji zhong zhen ba la la so de de la da ma da la ma yan da ji bin ji den na shin de rumo ji pro ge ru do di la de zhong den de ji da zhe la na me ba yang da bu shang zhe de mir de long dan na zhong den de tan ba la so yan yang ge long ni dong la zam yang lo ba da mer lo ba de da dan le lang de la gun cha ba chi de za ne tar mo je de zhong den de ji xian nga na zhong den de la sta jiang de ne san ban de ta wer de san ji ji xie de ne la ji se sem de da zhe jiang la na me ba yang de bu shang zhe de long dong ba to bir ji chi nian bo de ne zhong den de ji zai dan ba gang ga wo la ga za wa gang ga wo ju ma wo de na zhong den de de zhong sa ba zhe zhong ba yang de bu zo ba san ji ri ba dan jiang se dan ba de so ban ji tem ji ma ji wen de ra ka lo ji la na me ba la dong man nam ji dong ba san ji zhong den de yom sum chung chang wa lu na bro no bu ngumber shi ba ji xia wan ji den de xiong wa de san ji xia wa zhe 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 zang ni la de dang xie de zimber shi de rmo shi de chu bro shi de zhong den de 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 ka dan bi chu lang jiang dan ba yong su zong de la na me ba yang de bu zo shang zhe de ngumber zo bu sang ye ne shang zhe sen hua xie wa zhao zhe jia dong zhe gong ge long gu xi ma ni de la na me ba yang de bu shang zhe de yong su member shi bu ren ye ro ji ji sang ji ji jiang de ne shen de zhe jiang 신dım 저장 사지 벤저 야레 저버는 여로 지든지 감되나 마히르비 잠슨 집샤라 겨르도 거라데나 이동 잠 문브르 저바 집샤라 겨르도 존든데 되는 사바접 좀바양도 저버선지 잠숨 추고 창 잠숨 추군 창 로르 넘버 조르 문브르 시바디 체체츠너 거라호도 메버는 겨르데 존든데 디제나 찬 우장어름 타르 심브르 머니비 거라와시아 저주 야동저 정메 버는 여로 건가고 존든데 되는 사바접 좀바양도 버조버선지 잠숨 총총 로르 넘버 문브르 시바디 체체 지점 겨르와데 닝겨르데 용섬 닝을렌데베 담베 추오네 버는 겨르도 존든데 디 담베 추 지점 네버 겨르와디 닝겨르데 담베 추지 증년네 버 Girdo Yang Gangawo Chundan De Dejan Shabbat Jumbayan Dober Zobasan Yamsu Chun Chang Lur number number Shibate Chochi Santisha Chatu Gerton Mambo Kongo Shimanit Hungaber Jodo Denim Jondan de Giti Six of Jaban the Toka Sarto Nina Gelongin Mubershi Ganga Zombonga Chunzanamba Desha Chochu Chujum Choshin Mount Digitsina Gerver and Ger Deimana Jamso Lonzen de Mumbershiba Toji Dena Tana de Bayon Sotarbijan Mavnir Jamson Jerry Vadan no Shanchu Sanhua Ganga Lonch Loni de Dere David Haber Yonser member Shider Gerard and Zumcher Chever and Yer Shojin Jitentona a giant DC and what the maper Jerin Jitantam Japan Jam Sever Ne Jobatam New and they got a ninja Tamshu neighbor and Yer. Tenir Zunion de Ninja de Nede Gerati, Tambala, Denis Imjin, Gungo Shima, San Jishanchum Dala, Ergia, Jeda Denin Court of Shanchu, San Hui, Taba, Sarta, Yang Taparji, Baviastondo, Yam the same. Chosen one Namla under Tower Jetcher, long time, Dr. Jirmun Tana, Yantuna, Tachermo, then the large Jedan Kungi, no, then John the Egyptian, what they took. Similar number of Tobatics, Chipper, she, Nave, Jansen, what they took, Capsara, Rikiva, Rikiva, catching Yitzum, Nyamda, Na, Kanga, Tejan Sabat, Sanji, Chuji, Namkam, Mun Par, Yarpu, Kerner, Laname Bayan, Dobbers of Shanship, the Simki, the Nerikiva, the Doctor, Jim Chabermont, Tubera Zunto, Anus Zunji Zumbala Zunte, the Sherdam Laname Bayan, Dobbers of Shanship, numbers of San Jeso, Kangao, Zambondana, Sanji. Chunda de Namji Tambi Chunzum Zunzum, de Rigiva and the Darte and the Tarte, Shantu Sanhua Yons, Jabrisha, the Rigiva Donor Monum, the Yons, you know, the Zedon Kangao, Chundan de Don, Laname Bayan, the Borchan of the Long Tambato, the Kasanji Janga Yondum Kobatur, Mundi, Monum Dashobayan, Tune, some jam go a year around the Gaja. Gala Yeda, they were Jerade, the Zenasanjia to get on Mambotambicho, Dr. Mundi, Monum Jano, the Nitzer the Bakangawa, Japan, the Toxorto. Gera Home, but you are Nyan der Namji. Chutam bat of Dagdan Chamberam Zata, conservation, Dona Chamber and Jera, Tetum Mamchi, Shanchip Tunda, near the Katalam Keban, and Jarte, Don of Dero Shabi Jamjan, Love, Shanchip Mondo, Tambi Chuns and Bat, in a John de Gitsin on the Jachins and Lapkats or Jachins and Kun Mount in addition to Batrachum, the words not in Jitin. Come up, G, the Charity, John Neda, Tastan of Shade, some Shade, Morshid, Jubbershid, Divisions about Jumba, the words of us, and Rubadan just number there was a bunch of them, and the Rakal of the Rolana Bayan of Zobas and John and the Rumbo Chestnut and Pamela and Guba and Droa, if you're in Euro, Sanji John and the Takachi, or a Jerty, and the State, where not, if they're an eye, you know. Jackson, Zana, John and the Turns about Jumba, the words of Sanji, Rumbo Chestnut, Pamalan Gumbin at the Tsetyan, the Tower, Yondernam, Mambo, number person, so by under Tower and Jerete, Chester, John and the Terms of Jumba, the words of Sanji. Jamsum Cho and Chang of Lord number Rorum Umbrashi be Yondan, number Tamjatan, number Sanji, Janga, Yondam Kubajan, Euro, Rachanzan, Tejan Sabat, Jumba, on the words of Sanji. Cho Jamsum Cho and Chang, Lord number Mumbrashibati, Tower and Yerania, the Godolana Payan of Zoboshan, the Mumbers over San Javer and Gerdo, the Neptune and the GT, Japan, the Capsardo, Rachanzan and I Tower, the Junati, the Tetsingo, Shansato, Young Iva in the John Jimbo. Chuji Gurkar and Zana, Mountain, Santi Jama, Ted of Samipanum Tone and Yer, Shantu Yons of Sarosha, Gerard of Tigi Tower and Gerard Jattens on the Shopand. Then the Monument I see so down the things about Tigi Tower, the engine and Donna Yonda, Shuber Jattens and I in the Yondashia, Church, Hoba, hold the meda, then I Sazon Yomeki, the Shanchup on the net in a John and the Yantuji, Lop down, Merflo, Bart, on Botet of John and the Jikan. Jordan de Tajan, Semdan, Dambadan, Semjan, Yimbadan, Sim Jambar, Jumbar, number in Yervati, then Jordan de Gitsit on the Bakanga of Kapsara, Ganga, Yantu, or Lobadan, Loban, Stone, Tedom, Tom, Sura, Jordan dim, Ton also, the Roshabam, Ton also, Jordan de Chip Kapsar, Ganga, Geronda, Nirton, Tamchijam, Yam, the Shanchup, Shuba, Shubayan, Dabber, and Yerdes, and Jordan de Jitin, coming in, the Charab, John, Yell after Najib, Tamberjet, Mojedem, Jabrajet, number Jews only, lead Amjig. li tamal 가지 당지 예정식을 조진 직된지 감 장당 상지 기시야 장 라나 메바양 도 버조 버상 집 동금 버조 버상 기베 게르데 대전 셔바 접좀 바양 도 버조 버상 기 rum보체 똑거 게르보 지시야 직된 도 쇼테 데다가 차노 카라 장메브런 게르데 데다가 상지 예정가 요노 고밤 송어런 겨로 데다가 냥도 지 조동 장주 상고 좀 냠브른 겨로 데동 냠도 용숨 냥을렌데 버가 버런 겨로 데다가 담에 추점 냠브르 네브른 겨로 데님 정는데 수습 잡한다 똑갑사도 강가오도 가이 등거로도 냥도 동동도 담저나 마운티나 돼서 데브럭 성제르지 니는 개발 남들 롱도 단 회동 반은 다이데다가 선진남람 추브르 쇼제네 타멜리데 데너 네버 네네스 대이상 좀 총도 토버라 저러 쪽지남스 망너 지금 저러데 이렇게 되진 예정 지글라나 상좀 좋고 상종 땡코 코드네스 이시 토데 산게남스 저러 데다 남기 만 데다 남기 만ық 징gerде 른천 тоғжевшаварын жиктен чаға дедіғі намди жамчығым соңбыр жері нянту шанчу сынғый цоғу жам нямыр замжырын жер ян жиктен ndықы нам ням жан дедіғ чуп жыр намсы ян чушер ненім нямдым нянында дедіғ дамчым нямдық небірін жері дені лоба домыр лоба нянту дедіғдың жөндінде мұнсымды рыңғы лоңтан ба туни цымжам гыва ерағынды раптық гажан гавадан еддевір кенеп жөндінде цызып жабандыдық қсорды 롱tum바도 도배나 지든 좀 닥적은 더스처스로 돌아와 전 대장서바 닥적 대 닥적 멈추고 만결지 닥적 여니 도만치 롱tum바는 도배 때랑 닥적 대와도 담비 주바 마카로레 건가오던 작진전 게르노 니똥농 담비 레거티 급하고
Now we will continue to teach the Lotus Sutra. We have now reached chapter 9. Chapter 9 primarily teaches about the prophecies given to those who are still learning and those who have completed their learning. One concerns the prophecy for Venerable Ananda. At the time when the Buddha was in this world, Venerable Ananda had not yet attained the fruit of Arhat. In terms of outward appearance, we can say this. So he was still learning. He had not yet attained the fruit. As for those who completed their learning according to the view of the voice-hearer vehicle, they attained the fruit of Arhat. At that time, Rahula should have attained the fruit of Arhat. Below, there is also this kind of situation. There were some other disciples, more than 2,000 of them. They received these prophecies. This is mainly what it teaches. First, let me briefly explain some of the merits and virtues of the Lotus Sutra. Primarily, whether it is copying the text or printing this Dharma book, the merit is extremely great. In the records of the Lotus, there is a story. In the past, there was a very wealthy person. He had 5 children, 3 boys and 2 girls. Later, among the boys, the youngest boy became ill and suddenly went mad. Later, he ran around naked. Later, he disappeared. After he disappeared, a monk from a nearby monastery came to comfort them, saying that because his father was extremely sorrowful, the feelings between father and son will not last forever. Our life and our existence are completely impermanent. There is nothing to be particularly sad about, but if you truly wish to see your son, it would be best to make copies of the Lotus Sutra. Later, this person also did this meritorious deed. One evening he had a dream. He encountered another monk, a monk in the dream. This monk said, "If you wish to see your son, follow me." Then the father followed him. As he followed him, they arrived at a garden. In the garden, there were many children playing there. At this time, there was a 5 or 6-year-old child. They said, "This is your child." When the father saw him, he was extremely moved. He very much wanted to hold him, but this child would not come near. He told him, "Actually, the relationship between father and son, there is nothing to be attached to. It is impermanent. It is only because you made copies of the Lotus Sutra and accumulated merit that I am able to come near you temporarily. But if you truly wish that we father and son never separate and have the opportunity to meet together, it would be best for you to truly make many copies of the Lotus Sutra. In this way, we can both be born together in a pure Buddha land." At this time, the monk who had been guiding him brought him back. After bringing him back, the dream had already ended. After the dream ended, he felt this was extremely meaningful. From that time onward, he made copies of the Lotus Sutra. Later, he became ordained, and after ordaining, he also passed away. He was already reborn in a pure land. So this is about making such scriptures. Also, in the records of the Lotus, it says there was a woman whose husband died. After her husband died, she was extremely sad. Later, she found some other people and had them write the Lotus Sutra. Later, when she finished writing one copy, suddenly an ox came to her door and suddenly died. Later, it seemed in a dream, some monk said, this ox, her deceased husband, the person who had died, was reborn as an ox. But later, because of the merit of making the Lotus Sutra, he left the world of animals and was reborn in the heavenly realms. There is also such a story. So from these two stories, it demonstrates that while we are alive, while we are in this human world, not only should we properly listen to and study the Lotus Sutra, but also each of us during our lifetime, because now writing by hand is like this, I don't know if we can do it. If we can, copying it once yourself is also good. Or now we also may have photocopiers, printing and such. Then in this way, if you yourself really have no opportunity, requesting one copy of the Lotus Sutra to place in your shrine room, among Lotus Sutras, there are also many that are now beautifully bound. So I think in terms of merit, or in terms of accumulating virtue, we should accumulate bit by bit. Indeed, it is this way. You should also look more at how during the Tang dynasty, how much they valued the Lotus Sutra, including the Song, Ming and Yuan dynasties. Perhaps now in terms of Han region, the period when the Lotus Sutra has been propagated rather poorly should be from the Qing dynasty onward. Now, although in various monasteries there is a little bit of teaching, but in reality, truly getting them to teach or to study, or to speak about some miraculous responses, I'm afraid there are very few indeed. So now we may not be propagating the lotus enough. Therefore, I also hope that many of the Dharma teachers listening to this teaching, in the future you also, if you have the opportunity, in the future propagate the Lotus Sutra. In propagating the Lotus Sutra, after you have received the transmission, of course here at our institute, sometimes individual Dharma friends unavoidably have to leave. If in the middle you missed some of the transmission, for example, in the middle, between chapter 3 and chapter 5, if you missed it, you yourself should remember, later on, whichever Kempo, Kenmo, or Dharma teacher, if they have this transmission, at that time supplement it yourself. This is very easy. We don't need to supplement everything. In our Tibetan Buddhism, generally the transmissions of the great accomplished masters of the past were all like this. For this passage, this text, if you did not hear the transmission for this passage, mark it yourself. Later, when conditions ripen, whichever Dharma teacher or whatever, can you please read this passage to me? In this way, you connect the transmission. This is very important. So what I want to tell everyone today, one thing is, after you have the transmission, in the future as much as possible. You see, I also said the day before yesterday, at our Buddhist Academy, in these few years, it should be that in these more than 10 years, many Dharma teachers have gone out. But because in Han region, the atmosphere of teaching Dharma Dharma is not very good. The Dharma teachers who went out from our Buddhist academy in Tibet, as long as these people can teach, they are scrambling to invite them over. So now our Tibetan Dharma teachers are especially arrogant. Many people are competing for them, not to mention great Khenpos. Even middle-level Khenpos cannot be invited now. Even minor Khenpos, now they are rather arrogant. Many Khenpos and Khenmos monasteries throughout Tibet are constantly waiting in line, but in Han region it seems perhaps due to sectarian reasons or something, those waiting in line like this are not very many. Even when we arrive and teach the Dharma, perhaps due to historical reasons, you see in many Chinese monasteries, in the great shrine halls, true Dharma halls, apart from very few exceptions, many are primarily for making Buddha images and chanting Buddha's name. When starting to build monasteries, I often, now in these recent years also, when connecting with some Chinese monasteries, I tell them, first, a great shrine hall is needed. This is because of the tradition, it is needed. But second, you must have a Dharma hall. You see, in Tibetan Buddhism, all the assembly halls are all used for study. We can say they are our classrooms. There is still a certain difference. So in the future, in some places, we may still need, inside the monasteries, we should teach the Dharma. As for the Lotus Sutra, for many Dharma teachers, we hope, if there is great need to teach the Lotus Sutra, you can also write to me. You guarantee this person's safety and such. As for other food and drink, you don't need to tell me. They certainly will not starve to death. If the travel expenses are really impossible, I can also provide them. Also, in these recent years, when I have sent out some Dharma teachers, we have some poor Dharma teachers. I can make arrangements for them. There are some rather well-off Dharma teachers. They themselves have this capability. But for many of us, for example, we need a Dharma teacher to teach the Lotus Sutra for 2 months at this monastery. Can you send a Dharma teacher? If your monastery sends me a genuine invitation letter, we here can think of a way. Of course, if they are to stay long term. I don't know if your side can handle it. It's hard to say. Our side is also the same, but here, for our more senior Khenpos and Khenmos, I don't know if they have time. We need to see, because of various reasons. But we can guarantee that they can teach the Lotus Sutra. This might be relatively better. Otherwise, if we don't change our current tradition, if no one invites us, we also cannot say, take the Lotus Sutra. Hey, comrade, come here. Do you want me to transmit it to you? Sometimes our Dharma teachers have this aspiration, but the environment we are in indeed has some issues. You see Tibet, the place is so small, the people are so few, but these small monasteries often come to our Buddhist academy. I am not in charge of the educational affairs on the Tibetan side, but before me, there are so many people making requests. Then in Chinese Buddhism, we have many ready-made Dharma teachers here. They have already graduated in batches. But after graduation, no one invites them. This is also a kind of sadness. So in the future, if it is truly difficult for your monasteries to invite Dharma teachers long term, if you are afraid for your position, our Dharma teachers here generally do not seek anything, your position, your merit box. They will not think about these things. Whether it is a lay group or whatever monastery you are, you guarantee one teaching session every day for 2 months. If your organization needs this, we can think of a way to arrange it. You can queue up. We have a special Dharma propagation team here. As for the Dharma propagation group, in the future it will continue to exist. Although arrangements are being made, this quantity seems still not enough. So for this Lotus Sutra, in the future, if we have people teaching it, I hope everyone will also tell me about it. If you teach the Lotus Sutra once, for me, this is the greatest mandala offering. If you bring me a mandala of gold or silver, I also don't know where to put it. It is also very troublesome. If you truly teach it once to others, this is a very good Dharma offering. I also like this kind of offering. So for our Dharma teachers and also some tutors, all need this. This is one matter. Also, as I just said, if you really do not have the ability copying the Lotus Sutra, if your handwriting is relatively good, if your handwriting is not very good, copy copying it once in your lifetime is also very good, especially for some elderly people. If they copy the Lotus Sutra, they are less likely to get dementia. This is truly the case. Why is it that in the Tibetan area there is basically no dementia? They all have their own faith. Many elderly people are very busy every morning. They have to recite mantras and turn prayer wheels. They have to circumambulate and go around the monastery. Very, very busy. I see they are busier than young people. They are busy and very happy, preparing for their faith and for their next life. Some elderly people without faith, all day long they complain about heaven and people. All day long they complain. Often past events surface in their minds, crying while in this way, naturally, it brings great negative influence to their own life. It brings very great negative influence, so we should copy. What I'm saying today, first, everyone should create conditions for teaching the Dharma, mainly the Lotus Sutra. Conditions for teaching the Dharma. This is one thing. The second is, you yourself should print books or request books, or you yourself should copy the Lotus Sutra. This is very meaningful, very meritorious. These 2 points from the story I just told earlier, I then thought of this. Then next we will continue to teach this Lotus Sutra. Now we have reached chapter 9. Earlier, so many disciples, voice hearers, have already received prophecies. Here there are 2 special figures who need the Buddha to personally bestow prophecy upon them. There are also other disciples who simultaneously received prophecy. At that time, Venerable Ananda and Rahula were thinking this way. They thought, we each had this thought. Suppose we could receive the same as those before, like Venerable Purna and them. If we receive prophecy, how joyful, very good. After thinking this, they arose from their seats and went before the Buddha. After bowing at the Buddha's feet, they addressed the Buddha. World-honored one, we also. Recently we have seen many disciples already receive prophecy. As for us, we should also have a share. We have also served as your attendants. Our personal relationship with the Buddha is so good, so close. In this way, can we also get a share? We should also have a prophecy. Only the Tathagata is our refuge. Among all these different religious teachers, we did not take refuge. Only the Tathagata is our refuge. We can also become spiritual friends for all the world. Heavenly beings, asuras and so on, spiritual friends for these beings. And here the words, seeing spiritual friend, mean that we can also become their teachers. We can also become their spiritual friends, guides of virtue, guides of right view. Seeing spiritual friend also has the same meaning, they said, as for Venerable Ananda. Because Ananda constantly served as the Buddha's attendant and he upheld the Dharma treasury. Actually, Venerable Ananda served as attendant before the Buddha for 25 years. Later, he became the person who upheld the Dharma treasury. As for upholding the Dharma treasury, after the Buddha's parinirvana, in the 2nd year, at the Cave of 7 Leaves, right now in India, at Vulture Peak, very close by, that place is called Rajagraha. Next to Rajagraha, there is a place called the Cave of 7 Leaves, also called Saptaparna. In that cave, after the Buddha passed into parinirvana, when the Buddha had not yet passed into parinirvana, Shariputra and a group of arhats passed into parinirvana. Maudgalyayana and many arhats passed into parinirvana. Then together with the Buddha, there were also 81,000 arhats who passed into parinirvana. At that time, many heavenly beings said, the Dharma is now like smoke after the fire has been extinguished, and nothing remains. And the heavenly beings also mocked. At this time, many arhats, in order to dispel such mockery from heavenly beings and the world, and also to be able to uphold the Buddha's teachings, many arhats who had attained the dharana of non-forgetting gathered in this cave. In the past, we have all been there. That cave is quite large. Many people have also been there. That cave is very large. At that time, the first council was held there. One was Venerable Ananda. Venerable Ananda should have compiled the Sutra Pitaka. Upali compiled the Vinaya Pitaka. Venerable Kashyapa compiled the Abhidharma Pitaka. There were 500 arhats. Only Venerable Ananda had not attained the fruit of arhat. At the very beginning, the day before, there were many arhats, but that cave at that time was very large. Some scriptures say it had a very small opening. Many arhats used their supernatural powers to enter inside. As a result, 499 arhats had already entered. Only Venerable Ananda did not enter. He was extremely distressed. He thought, I have served as attendant before Shakyamuni Buddha for 25 years already. How ashamed I am. Others did not serve for such a long time, yet they have all attained the fruit of Arhat. He repented while crying and praying. Then on that very day he attained it. The next day, when they truly held the council, Venerable Ananda had already entered through his own supernatural powers. In the past, Arhats did not need to swipe cards. They had a kind of supernatural power card and directly went in. He was truly a protector of the Dharma. In the Vinaya, there are many stories of Venerable Ananda. You may have studied them before. I have also read some long, long ago, but some of them I have forgotten. What did they say? What they themselves said at that time. World-honored one, our connection with you is still different. We also wish to be teachers. We also wish to do some good deeds. Why is society like this now? We too should now receive prophecy. You see, Ananda for such a long time has served as your attendant for such a long time and also will protect the true Dharma in the future. And as for Rahula, the Buddha's own son, if the Buddha bestows prophecy upon us, this seeing does not necessarily mean the meaning of seeing. In Tibetan, if you can bestow upon us the prophecy of Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi, on one hand, it fulfills our wishes. We also wish to be spiritual friends. We also wish to propagate the Dharma. On the other hand, the hopes of many beings are also like this. They will also be fulfilled. If we too have some prophecy, on one hand, it fulfills us. On the other hand, it also fulfills so many people. So at this time, there were also 2,000 voice hearers, those still learning and those who completed their learning. They also arose from their seats. Then they bared their right shoulders and went before the Buddha. They pressed their palms together with one mind, constantly gazing at the Buddha's countenance. Just like the wishes of Venerable Ananda and Venerable Rahula, they also stood there continuously watching there. As for them, they did not say this, but actually they also had a common wish. They also wished to receive such prophecy. Below is the prophecy bestowed upon Venerable Ananda. As for Venerable Ananda, as I just mentioned, for one thing, he was Devadatta's younger brother. When the Buddha had not yet been born, Devadatta was already quite grown. Devadatta's younger brother, the Buddha's cousin, on the day the Buddha attained accomplishment, Venerable Ananda was born. After Venerable Ananda was born, his father was called King Amartodana. At the time of King Amartodana, actually at that time, the physiognomy reading in India, it seems the Han region was also like this. The physiognomy studies of ancient times were extremely powerful. Indeed, through reading features, they could know much of a person's destiny. In the Lotus Sutra also, many were physiognomy readers, including reading their lifespan. Many people, how many years they will live, these things can all be discerned. However, nowadays, there may be some frauds. There are relatively more fakes. But we cannot completely say that all physiognomy readers are fake. We cannot say this. Among them, there are also some rather remarkable ones. Their predictions about your future are especially accurate. There are also such cases. At that time, after the physiognomy reader looked at young Venerable Ananda, he said, "In the future, you will become the attendant of Shakyamuni Buddha." His father was very unwilling, perhaps due to their family reasons. I saw that as for Devadatta's mother, many stories say her jealousy was especially strong. His father was especially unwilling. Every time Shakyamuni Buddha came to this city, King Amartodana immediately moved Venerable Ananda to another place. It is said after he left, he brought him back. Every time it was like this, not letting them meet. He thought in his heart, as long as he does not see him, perhaps he will not become his attendant. Otherwise we are both kings. Why should my child be his attendant? How embarrassing, how bad. He always thought this way. Later, once the Buddha, because at that time the Buddha had already achieved accomplishment when he had already become a Buddha, only then was Ananda born. Later, the Buddha discovered that the conditions for transforming him had ripened once he blocked the news and suddenly descended to his palace. At that time, King Amartodana did not have time to run. He immediately hid Venerable Ananda in a room and closed the door. After the Buddha entered, through the Buddha's supernatural power, the door naturally opened. After Venerable Ananda came out, Due to his past life connections, upon seeing the Buddha, he was extremely joyful, bowing continuously like this. Then the Buddha taught them the Dharma. When leaving, Venerable Ananda insisted on following him. His family did not really agree, but the Buddha said, "It is best that you follow me," and brought him back. Actually, in many scriptures, it says that Venerable Ananda made two great aspirations in past lives. Of course, he made many aspirations. The first was that he wanted to be the attendant of Shakyamuni Buddha for many years. He wanted to never be separated from the teacher life after life. I want to be an attendant. Some of our female practitioners say, if I were a male practitioner, how good that would be. I very much wish to serve as attendant to many teachers. At that time, Venerable Ananda made this aspiration, to be an attendant to the Noble One. There was also another aspiration. Venerable Ananda used his wisdom to dispel others' doubts. And also, he was especially skillful in means, enabling others to also obtain happiness. This is also very rare. Generally, when we dispel others' doubts, although their doubts have been dispelled, yet others are very unhappy, there are also such cases. So our speech is not skillful. We bring such suffering to many people. It seems, after saying one sentence afterward, many people's hearts are uncomfortable. Perhaps it is also related to past lives. Every time Venerable Ananda taught the Dharma, many people were extremely joyful. So later, with Shakyamuni Buddha, from that time onward, he continuously served as his attendant. However, as taught in some other scriptures, one scripture teaches Venerable Ananda was especially remarkable, especially when listening to the Dharma. He was especially focused. It seems when in Rajagra, this is also taught in the Vinaya. Once, Venerable Ananda developed a terrible abscess on his back. Then the Buddha told the doctor, "That abscess, perform surgery on it." Then the doctor thought about it. At that time there was no anesthesia, so what to do? Later he thought, every time when Venerable Ananda listened to teachings before the Buddha, he was especially focused. I should utilize this time to perform surgery on him. Once when the Buddha was teaching the Dharma, he started from behind, began to cut open his abscess, removed all the pus and blood inside. After finishing, sealed it all up. After sealing it, the teaching had not yet finished. Finally, the doctor very happily said, "My surgery has been successful." Finally, Venerable Ananda said, "This is nothing. For the sake of hearing the Dharma, if my body were cut into as many pieces as sesame seeds, there would be no problem." In the world, there are also such cases of concentration. When worldly people attend classes, not to mention performing surgery, often their minds wander and get lost. There are many such situations. Indeed, Venerable Ananda's faculties were somewhat different from others. Although he had not really attained any fruit, having surgery performed on his body externally was nothing to him. In the past, it seems it is taught in the romance of the Three Kingdoms, scraping poison from the bone to heal. There is also such a case. It seems it was Guan Yu. At that time, a doctor also treated him because he was struck by a poisoned arrow in his right arm. Then the poison had already entered his bone. He had to have all the flesh cut open. All the poison on the bone inside had to be scraped off. At this time, Guan Yu was chatting and laughing, playing chess with others while drinking wine. The doctor scraped off all his poison. After sealing everything up, he still did not have any sensation. Moreover, blood flowed into a large basin, but he himself seemed as if he had no sensation. So he said, "You are truly a divine person. You are remarkable. Some heroes, perhaps." Indeed, our human mental states are different. Some of us, without any reason, are afraid. I have seen in some hospitals just drawing blood. Many people dare not look now. Just drawing blood is nothing. I once saw a young man who looked especially heavy, especially tall, with a very deep voice, seemed to be a leader, looked especially impressive, but when drawing blood he looked at it, then when the needle pierced in, there was still a difference. So sometimes we humans are still, just as taught in the way of Bodhisattva, sometimes seeing others' blood they faint. Some are fragile. Some heroic people, when seeing blood flowing from their own body, they become even more brave. So there are still differences. Some, when encountering especially great or significant matters, are mentally very strong. Whatever happens with this matter, whether I suffer it will happen, whether I do not suffer it will happen. Better that I still face it bravely. Some people, It seems this matter has not even happened at all, yet they continuously generate various fears in their hearts. As I said yesterday, so sometimes regarding history, if we study some related psychological books, some may innately have this kind of fearfulness, but for a portion, through our study, gradually our mental strength becomes fortified. This will definitely happen. For example, before you studied Buddhism, you were especially fragile, especially afraid. Your psychology was extremely fragile. The slightest thing you cannot be touched. If touched a little, you immediately collapse. You immediately feel you have been struck. I am so unlucky. Like this. But later, after studying Buddhism, even if tremendous matters happen before you, you still bravely face them. In this respect, it also has a certain relationship with your own practice. Let me first explain Venerable Ananda's connection with the Buddha was like this. Venerable Ananda, he appears to be an ordinary person, but actually he is still quite remarkable. Compared to the realms of many of us, there is indeed a very great difference. Then at that time, the Buddha told Venerable Ananda, you will be able to become a Buddha in the future. Your Buddha name will be Mountain, Ocean, Wisdom, Freely Penetrating, King, Tathagata. At that time, you will also possess the qualities of worthy of offerings, of right and universal knowledge, perfect clarity and conduct, well gone, understanding the world, unexcelled worthy, trainer of people, teacher of heavenly and human beings, Buddha, world-honored one. The 10 epithets of a Buddha will all be complete. Moreover, in the future you will make offerings to 62 kotis of Buddhas, protect the Dharma treasury of Buddhas and the true Dharma. Later, you will attain Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. As for the beings you will teach, 20,000 myriads of kotis of Ganges sands, number of bodhisattvas, and so on, you will cause them to attain Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. At that time, the name of the Buddha land, when you become a Buddha, will be ever-standing victory banner. This Buddha land will be extremely pure, with lapis lazuli as the ground. The name of this kalpa will be wonderful sound pervasive. The lifespan of the Buddha will also be immeasurable, thousands of myriads of kotis of asamkhyeya kalpas. If people were to calculating over thousands of myriads of kotis of immeasurable asamkhyeya kalpas, they would not be able to know the lifespan of this Buddha. The time the true Dharma abides in the world will also be multiplied by 1. As for the counterfeit Dharma, it is again multiplied by 1. We can also say multiplied by 3, then add 1 more. 3 times should be acceptable. It is not 2 times, 4 times. It is not like this. This we may find it very difficult to imagine. The lifespan of the Buddha, these are all very difficult to imagine. But sometimes I think not only the future Buddha prophecies and numbers, including in our real life, some of us may think, could this be possible? How to calculate? How could it be? Sometimes when we are not professionals, we may not be able to calculate clearly. I myself am also saying, for example, some things we use every day. If we truly use wisdom to explain some reasons, it would be very difficult. For example, this teacup, I have used this teacup for many years, but if you ask me to explain what materials this is composed of, in what process, through what materials it was made, if you ask me to explain this, even things I use every day, I may not be able to. Even the materials and raw materials of this pen, what technology it is, the technology inside it, why it is made this way. Many of us, originally, these are very common, very simple technologies. But if you ask me to explain theoretically, there is a certain difficulty, including computers we use now. These things, you see audio and video happening in the world, all through going online or through some method in a very short time, displayed before your eyes. But if you were to explain this principle clearly, for non-professionals, there is indeed a certain difficulty. So sometimes I myself feel some things are indeed inconceivable, including these numbers. Perhaps it is a kind of imaginary number, perhaps it is truly a real number. But generally, with our ordinary conceptual thinking, not only some special terminology in Buddhism, some special concepts are like this. Many things in the world that are closely related to our daily life, so many of these matters. We still only know one aspect, not the other. Many principles are not very clear, so some of our doubts should be considered from 2 perspectives. Otherwise, some people perhaps do not have enough merit. Many things in the world they originally do not know, but they do not generate doubts. Then regarding Buddhist studies, karma, right view, and so on, once they have something they do not know, they immediately generate doubts. After generating doubts, they begin to reject and abandon. There is this kind of situation. I think this is very unreasonable. In our ordinary daily life, are you omniscient? Do you know everything? It is not that we know everything. You see, here we have a piece of paper. How is this paper made? What materials are needed? What principles? Can you make it? We are completely ignorant. Very, very simple things. These things related to our daily life. Our wisdom is limited. Our energy is limited. Perhaps in this lifetime, I simply have no way. Many things we come into contact with. So sometimes things we do not know, we should not generate doubts about everything. If we want to generate doubts, you still have many things you do not know. Then you should research them all together. If you want to reject them, you can reject them all. But with some things, it is also like this, including many national leaders. Actually, some national leaders, I have also asked some in many countries, east, south, west, and north. Actually, regarding their own some intentions of the national government, they do not know at all, only about a superficial part. They think, I am a person inside this. But actually, many principles inside, they do not really grasp, including their own departments. So sometimes we may need to think about this aspect. The Buddha told Ananda, mountain ocean wisdom freely penetrating. King Tathagata will also be praised by Tathagatas of the 10 directions, immeasurable thousands of myriads of kotis of Ganges sands in number, because his merit is especially great. So when Ananda becomes a Buddha in the future, innumerable Buddhas will praise him. The world-honored one also restated this meaning, speaking in the form of verses. Today in the assembly of monastics, we say that Venerable Ananda is an upholder of the Dharma, a protector of the Dharma. In the future, he will make offerings to so many Tathagatas. Then he will be able to attain perfect enlightenment. His Buddha name, mountain ocean wisdom freely penetrating, King Tathagata, his land will be extremely pure. His land's name will be ever-standing victory banner. The Bodhisattvas he teaches will also exceed the number of Ganges sands. At that time, this Buddha will be especially majestic, and moreover, his excellent name will pervade the entire 10 directions. His lifespan is immeasurable. Only out of compassion for beings, the time his true Dharma abides in the world will also be 1 times longer than his lifespan. The time of the counterfeit Dharma is similarly increased by 1 more time. Ganges sands number, immeasurable beings will also plant various causes for the Buddha path in this Dharma. They will plant various causes for the Buddha path. So Venerable Ananda in the future will be like this. At this time, in the entire assembly present, there were many newly aroused bodhisattvas, those who had just aroused the aspiration, because newly aroused bodhisattvas have relatively many doubts. Here also, when they first arrive, they have especially many doubts. Then when they become old hands, they have no doubts about anything. Whatever you say is fine. Yes is fine, no is also fine. As long as they themselves have food, as long as they sleep well, most worried about their own poor health, not sleeping well at night, these things. At the very beginning, especially young people, for example, when just graduating from university, their curiosity and seeking spirit are especially strong. Why? I also experienced this. When I first became ordained, the principles of refuge in the words of my prefect teacher, I asked one of our lamas. He said he had studied for 12 years before. Then when I asked him some questions from the words of my prefect teacher, he did not give me a satisfactory answer. I thought, this person is really stupid. Someone who studied for 12 years, how can his answers be so poor? I must not become like this in the future. I seem to be especially like this, but it seems when people reach a certain age, nothing really matters anymore, just like young people starting businesses now. Many people in the world, when just graduating from school, they think, my monthly salary must definitely be above 100,000. Impossible, 20,000 or 30,000. I absolutely do not want to do it. At the very least, I only covet a certain place. Some of us, when we just became ordained, I must definitely become a Buddha, I must definitely. But gradually, after walking for 10 or 8 years, perhaps compared to the initial aspiration at the beginning, there is a bit. At this time, there were 8,000 newly aroused bodhisattvas. In Tibetan, it says 8,000 people. It seems in Tibetan, hundreds of thousands of people. In what I have here, it says 8,000. But that one, could there be a difference in versions? That one is a photocopy, right? You take a look. You search for it. Don't you understand Tibetan? Look at that place. It says these bodhisattvas were thinking this way. We have not yet received the prophecy of great Bodhi. Why? For what reason? These voice hearers have already received it. You see, Venerable Ananda, he is a lesser vehicle person. He has not even attained arhatship, yet he received prophecy so early. Perhaps the Buddha is a bit biased. After serving as attendant for such a long time, he cares more, so gave him prophecy. Why is it we are already great bodhisattvas, these bodhisattvas who have realized the two selflessnesses, we still have not received prophecy? Why is this? At this time, the Buddha took a look. Wow, certainly many people are thinking this. Not like us, using reasoning to know. Generally, when we have meetings or at times like this, we look at everyone's mental state, look at their eyes, how many people oppose, how many people praise, like this. So after the Buddha completely knew what they were thinking in their hearts, he told them, listen, Ananda and I, long, long ago, there was one called Empty King Tathagata. Before Empty King Tathagata, at that time, we both aroused the aspiration for Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi together. Actually, Venerable Ananda, long, long ago, in Tibetan, it is hundreds of thousands. Just now, the Lotus Sutra was translated into Tibetan. In Tibetan here, it is hundreds of thousands of people. Perhaps hundreds of thousands has the meaning of many, many. You can refer to this. In the future, regarding this, it is 100, right? You can still, just now I said, long, long ago, we both aroused bodhicitta together, but Venerable Ananda especially loved to hear the Dharma. He especially loved extensive learning. I was extremely diligent. So I first attained Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. Diligence and extensive learning, this is a very significant issue. You see, when the Buddha had already attained Buddhahood, Venerable Ananda had not yet attained the fruit of arhatship. What was the reason? At that time, they both generated bodhicitta before King of Emptiness, Tathagata, but because the Buddha was so extremely diligent, actually diligence is very important. I often, including some who came to our institute at the same time, at that time their wisdom was relatively similar, but some enjoyed extensive learning, studying this, studying that. Later it seemed their achievements were not outstanding. Some, because they were especially diligent, obtained the Dharma teacher degree. There truly is some difference. Some, of course, have differences in wisdom. But when comparing wisdom with diligence, with long-term diligence, the power of diligence is extremely great. The Maharatna Kutta Sutra says, for those who constantly practice diligence, Bodhi is not difficult. For those who practice diligence over the long term, attaining Anuttara Samya Sambodhi is not difficult. You see here, Ananda and the Buddha both generated bodhicitta at the same time. But as a result, because of the Buddha's diligence, he attained Buddhahood ahead of time. For us, this is still a very great difference. I hope that we who study the Dharma should be diligent, not sleeping in all day or being very scattered all the time, not grasping the key points. This is not very good. Everyone should remember this, saying diligence is very important. You see, they generated bodhicitta at the same time. As a result, when the Buddha attained Buddhahood, Ananda was just being born and still became someone else's attendant. So his father was somewhat unwilling to see him. This is also a bit unvenerable. Ananda could only protect his teachings. There was no other way. He himself had not attained Buddhahood. He could only be the steward, protecting the Dharma for him. In the future, Venerable Ananda will also protect the Dharma treasury of many Tathagatas, teaching and transforming countless bodhisattvas. Our original aspirations were like this. At that time, when they made aspirations together, at that time, Venerable Ananda also made the aspiration that life after life he would be a Dharma protector for the Buddha. This is also the case. So many great bodhisattvas, you should not be jealous. This kind of relationship between us is not only like this, there is still a connection from past lives. It is like this. The Buddha then told all of these. Ananda received this prophecy before the Buddha, including the future adornments of his Buddha land. as well as the aspirations of past lives and the conditions of past lives. After speaking of these, his heart was especially joyful. This kind of joy was also unprecedented, extremely joyful. Through the Buddha speaking in this way at that time, Venerable Ananda could recall before immeasurable thousands of myriads of kotis of Buddhas. These experiences of protecting the Dharma, all of these he understood completely without obstruction, just like events happening today. All the vows made in the past were completely clear, but in the Tibetan text it is not very obvious. These 4 words, as heard today, are not very obvious, but the meaning can be explained in this way. At that time, because the Buddha spoke of their past life connections, everything immediately came back to him. At this time, Venerable Ananda, again, actually it wasn't Venerable Ananda who repeated it. He spoke these words before the Buddha, saying, "World-honored one, you are extremely rare. Today you have caused me to remember these things I did before immeasurable Buddhas in the past," as if they were events that happened today, heard today, seen today. Because of the aspirations I made in past lives, I have no doubts whatsoever about the Dharma and abide in the Buddha path. Actually, many of our Dharma friends especially wish for this. It would be best not to have many doubts about the Dharma. If there are doubts, we cannot be diligent, cannot generate faith. In the end, there will be no accomplishment in practice if there are no doubts. It seems we ourselves feel it is especially meaningful. So we also make the aspiration that in this very life we will not have doubts about the Dharma and can truly abide in the Buddha's realm. Also, Venerable Ananda said, "I am one with great skillful means, serving as your attendant, serving continuously for 25 years, and also protecting the Buddha's Dharma." You see here, like Venerable Ananda. Venerable Ananda was especially not like some attendants of our teachers who have offended everyone, without skillful means, with a very poor reputation. This person is so-and-so, near such and such teacher. Oh, this person has a bad temper. This person doesn't handle things well. This person is very arrogant. This person is especially unwilling to let people approach a certain teacher. Actually, serving as an attendant by a teacher's side, one day I spoke with an attendant of a teacher. He said, do you have any advice for me? I said, I have a bit of advice. Do you want me to tell you? He said, Jay, please tell me. I said, Anki, I myself have also served before teachers for 100 days, for several months, for example, when the teacher went to India, when he went to America, when he went to Singapore, including going to Mount Wutai, to the Tibetan area. Many places I served as an attendant before the teacher, but first I tried my best to care for the teacher. Second, I tried my best not to be arrogant before others, fulfilling everyone's wishes, because many people want to see the teacher. I can understand their feelings. So through my own experience in the past, it's not easy to conduct oneself by a teacher's side, but we must not offend others. This is my advice. What do you think? He said, let me think about it. So I hope that whether serving as a Dharma teacher, Kenpo, Kenmo, or whoever's attendant, still you see, like Venerable Ananda, skillfully serving as attendant is very good. Otherwise, unskillfully serving as attendant. There was once an attendant of His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok who said to one of our Kenpos here, you should have a better temper toward others. That Kenpo said to him, when you previously served as attendant before His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok, how wonderful it would have been if you had remembered these words, because his reputation was not very good. He only thought of the teacher, not at all thinking of those below. Oh, the teacher is not well. The teacher cannot be touched. Generally, for example, if some people want a signature, want a blessing on the head, or want to make a connection, indeed they still have a kind of faith, a kind of joy, a kind of longing of their own at this time. Some who are by our side, get out, get out, get out. Many such actions are also not very good. Venerable Ananda would not be like this before the Buddha. This is one thing. Also, Venerable Ananda protected the true Dharma life after life. Protecting the true Dharma is also extremely important. What is protecting the true Dharma? It means generating the intention for the sake of the Dharma. For example, what we now call management, or when propagating the Dharma, providing some practice centers. Now in the Han region, many great benefactors provide their homes for our study groups and students, allowing them to practice together. This truly has immense merit. This is protecting the Dharma. The Dashachakraksitigarbha Sutra says, like the sun radiating light, constantly dispelling the world's darkness, thus are Dharma protectors constantly illuminating the world everywhere. If we protect the Dharma over the long term, it is like the sun dispelling the darkness of the world. The merit is extremely great. We have also taught this before. The merit of protecting Mahayana Buddhism is extremely great. So in the future, in our own lifetime, doing something for the Dharma is still very important. The Tathagata Guhya Mahayana Sutra says, the merit of protecting the true Dharma is boundless. Ultimately, one cannot know its limits. So we should, in the aspect of protecting the Dharma, like Venerable Ananda, compiling the Tathagata's teachings, these all have difficulties, but the teacher's teachings in the future, passing them down, for example, once a teacher has already departed from this world, it is best to have the teacher's texts and the teacher's instructions circulate directly in the human world. This, compared to building stupas. The Dashachakraksitigarbha Sutra also teaches, for example, building stupas, building monasteries. Originally, the merit is great, but the merit of protecting the Dharma is many, many times greater than this. So, for many of us here, actually protecting the Dharma should all be possible. A long, long time ago, probably in the 1990s, I went to a place where on everyone's sleeve were written the words Dharma Protector. Perhaps many of us, everyone can be a Dharma protector. As Dharma protectors, we should make aspirations in our hearts in our lifetime. See if we ourselves can do a little something for the Dharma. Even just a tiny bit of contribution is very good. Venerable Ananda was such a person. Everyone should remember this. Especially what I want to say more today. Some disciples of teachers, some attendants of teachers must be careful. Because some disciples of teachers do not serve the teacher well in doing things every day, forming cliques, spreading gossip so much, creating discord. This is truly very bad. As practitioners, we should let the teacher have peace of mind, not have many afflictions. Otherwise, if the teacher is afflicted, then the disciples are even more afflicted. There's nothing to say. Then, as for the disciples, they should also try their best to be considerate of others. Some people are truly joyful both toward those above and those below, and if they selflessly continue doing work to propagate the Dharma and benefit beings, this is a good disciple, this is a good attendant. Otherwise, although one might in some sense make some contribution, do some meaningful things. If interpersonal relationships are not handled well, internal strife in our Buddhist community is very bad. Now, overall things are fine. Dharma friends from all different traditions get along harmoniously. But we also shouldn't each praise only our own teachers. Actually, there's no need for this. What we should discuss is the Dharma, not engage in personality cults, personal idolatry and worship. Actually, these cannot be accomplished. This is not very good. Rely on the Dharma, not on the person. This is very important. We should still study the Dharma well. Especially cultivating talented people is very important. Without cultivating talented people, truly our Buddhism will have no successors in the future. This is very, very important. If there are no talented people, even if Buddhist monasteries are magnificently adorned and grand, it means nothing. Even if practice centers are excellent, it means nothing. So cultivating talented people is very important. Moreover, after these talented people are cultivated, they shouldn't each become arrogant, as if they have completely no way to bend at the waist, all getting ankylosing spondylitis. This is also not good. Everyone should have a kind of humility and respect. And as for these Dharma teachers, I hope they not only speak with their mouths, but more importantly, actually do some things. Now, many people are like they themselves are kings, with others serving them. We Buddhists should personally go do some things ourselves, not just be able to talk. When speaking, they boast grandly, like, oh, speaking so very well. But when it comes to doing things, you arrange this for me, you arrange that for me, come, bring the bowl over, I need to do something, all of you come here. All my disciples, sit down here properly and obediently. I am your Vajra master. This doesn't seem very good. Still, as for teachers, truly, as a teacher, although sometimes you might lose some of your prestige and dignity, you should still do things. Now, in our Buddhism, it's not enough just to speak with words. We should practice in actual actions. In actual actions, for example, if we want to maintain a practice center, I also told some Dharma friends today, in the future you should put down all pretensions, accord with beings, serve beings. This is what is correct. Including some of us Buddhists, for example, when others need help, we should personally go do it, not just write out some arrangement on paper. Everyone is a team leader. Even team leaders have this kind of official air. Before the senior team leader arrives, they act very impressive. When the senior team leader comes, "Oh, hello, you've arrived." Now, some of our leaders here are like this. The deputy bureau chief is originally quite fierce, but when the bureau chief comes, wow. When answering phone calls in his presence, the attitude is completely different. The bureau chief is also very fierce, but when the deputy county magistrate comes, wow, then after the deputy county magistrate arrives, he's very fierce with those below. But then, when the county magistrate comes, so we Buddhists too, team leaders, senior team leaders, we should all still be relatively humble. I won't continue, there's no more time below. Let me briefly speak about Rahula. Below is the prophecy for Venerable Rahula. It also says, in the future you will attain the fruit of Buddhahood. Your Buddha name will be stepping on 7 jeweled flowers, Tathagata. You will also possess the 10 epithets of a Buddha. In the future you will make offerings to Tathagatas, numbering as the dust motes of 10 worlds. You will constantly serve as their eldest son, just like Rahula now. This Buddha's land will also be adorned. His lifespan, the disciples he transforms, the true Dharma and semblance Dharma, all will be exactly the same as mountain sea wisdom freely penetrating King Tathagata mentioned earlier. Therefore this Buddha will also serve as their eldest son. After this, when Venerable Ananda attains Buddhahood, he will become his eldest son, just like Rahula now. After this, he will be able to attain Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. When the world-honored one restated this meaning, he also said, "My crown prince, Rahula is the eldest son. Before I attained Buddhahood, you were my eldest son. Today, after attaining Buddhahood, you have become my Dharma son. In future worlds, you will see immeasurable Buddhas and also become their eldest son. You will single-mindedly seek the Buddha path." Rahula is foremost in esoteric practices. In the Buddha's teachings, as for this state, only I, the Buddha, can know it. Because before beings, he manifests as my eldest son. I am the most clear about this. Because Rahula, actually in the past too, practiced esoterically. In appearance, he is a voice hearer, a lesser vehicle appearance, but actually he has the realization of a Bodhisattva and the Vajrayana. He appears to be like an arhat, but actually his realization far exceeds this. So the reason he is foremost in esoteric practices is also this: immeasurable kotis and thousands of myriads of merit, inconceivable, abiding in the Dharma, seeking the unsurpassed path, such an arhat. The prophecy for Rahula has been taught to here. At this time the world-honored one saw there were still many 2,000 of those with more to learn, and those who had completed their learning. Their minds were all extremely gentle, tranquil, and pure. With one mind they gazed upon the Buddha. They were all relatively pliant. The 2 representative figures continuously received prophecies, while the other 2,000 plus were very tranquil. Actually, Indian people still have this kind of character, extremely, extremely tranquil. So they gazed upon the Buddha with one mind, saying nothing. At this time the Buddha told Venerable Ananda, he said, "Do you see them? Now here we have so many of those with more to learn, and those who completed their learning." Venerable Ananda said, "Indeed so, I have seen them. Yes, I have seen them, Buddha. I have seen them, Buddha." In the Tibetan, it seems there are two instances. Then the Buddha told Venerable Ananda, these people, actually in the future, among dust motes numbering as 50 worlds, they will also make offerings to Tathagatas, respectfully honoring them and also protecting the Dharma. In the future, at the same time, in different worlds, in the Buddha lands of the 10 directions, they will also be able to attain Buddhahood. Moreover, their Buddha names will all be called jeweled mark Tathagata. They will also possess the 10 epithets of a Tathagata. Their lifespans will also be one kalpa. Their lands will be extremely adorned. There, the voice hearers and bodhisattvas, the true dharma and semblance dharma, will also be the same as when Venerable Ananda attains Buddhahood, as mentioned earlier. It should be this one earlier, yes, Rahula's. At this time, the world-honored one also restated this meaning, saying, the 2,000 voice hearers today before me have all received prophecies. In the future, they will be able to attain Buddhahood. The Buddhas to whom you will make offerings are also as spoken of above, numbering as dust motes of Buddha lands. Moreover, you will protect the teachings of these Tathagatas and finally attain perfect enlightenment. After attaining accomplishment in different lands, you will share the same name. At this time, you will all attain Buddhahood beneath the Bodhi tree. In the Tibetan, it says, beneath the Bodhi tree, each will sit at the seat of enlightenment and finally realize the fruit of unsurpassed perfect enlightenment. This Buddha's name will be called jeweled mark Tathagata. His land and his disciples, including the true Dharma, semblance Dharma, and so forth, will be no different from the earlier. Everyone, through spiritual powers, will transform beings of the 10 directions. His excellent name will also pervade the entire world. Gradually, he will enter nirvana. At that time, the 2,000 of those with more to learn and those who completed their learning, having heard the Buddha's prophecy, were all joyful and exultant. Then everyone with one voice used verses to praise the Buddha. World-honored one, you are the true lamp of wisdom. Today we have received the sound of your prophecy, your Vajra wondrous voice. Our hearts are filled with Dharma joy. We are extremely joyful, as if we have received an empowerment of Amrita. Each time we have an empowerment, it's especially crowded. Come, 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 give it to me, give it to me. Even obtaining just a little bit, some are like, so this is called an empowerment of Amrita. This is a very joyful matter. Because they all received prophecies, they are all very joyful. We will stop here for today. This chapter is now complete, chapter 9. Today happens to be one chapter in one class.
Sonamdei tamse thobanya tonne dhamma pasit jirgana jirano chupan chupun sonen dravadravasya
Bandharangara badna Sodargye Bandharangara badna Sodargye Bandharangara badna Sodargye